Hey guys, just a quick update of where we're at with the Academy 135 scale Tiger, the Tiger turret number 411, Michael Wittmann's first turret number, for a Tiger anyway. Yeah, look, this is part 3 now, so we've covered everything, we've covered the interior build and that so far, and this update is about the interior paint. This is nearly ready and just been prepped for exterior painting, but I thought I'd give you a quick update before we actually do the painting on the exterior. Being enamel paint too, things for me take a little bit longer to dry, and just with other things going on, some days I can't really do much at all. As you recall from the last update, my decals melted when I used dry transfers and Tester's dull coat. So I had Archers sent me out a new set from the States, which took about 9 days to get here. They've been fantastic to deal with. This time I used water slide ones instead of the dry transfers, just for our sort of added protection. Plus you get more on the sheet, so it worked out well. And I also got some tank round ammunition decals from them as well. Which are fantastic, and I'll show you that in a minute. But this is kind of where we're at. The interior is pretty much done. None of this has been washed yet. I'm going to do the wash when the whole vehicle's done. But it has had chipping effects and that in there. So I'll just take you through the vehicle now. As well, some of it's got tape on it ready for paint. But as I said, there's some modifications in that are made and things as well, which I'll take you through as we go. But here we have the hull of the vehicle ready to go. As you can see on the outside, I've got the mud guards on the side. I bent them and cut them a little bit. They're the ones that came with it, so they're the plastic ones, no aftermarket ones on there. So I've just bent them and done different things to them to give them a bit of wear. And normally it's a one mould. So I cut those with a hobby knife. I didn't cut them all the way through the top, but just cut them through, bent them just a little bit. But here, pretty much on the internals, there's the internal finish of the vehicle using from what I understand to be the correct colours. So that's the ivory, or the Panzer interior colour from Model Master that I've used there. And Revell 67, which is the grey-green, pretty much equivalent to REL 7009 on there as well. I'll take a few zoomed in shots in a minute, but the top of the engine bay will look a little bit different after it's washed. But I sort of went through the detail on that in the last update of why colours were certain colours. But there's the completed product there. If we have a bit of a zoom in now, you'll see the decals on the tank round. So they're on the actual round itself at the end and on the shell casing, and you can't see it, but it's on the base of the shell casing as well. In there also you'll see some decals. As well. Because the vents are open, the handle's in the right place for it to be open. You can see there the little square box on the right hand side there is your primer for the engine. That's where you pump it and pump fuel into it. And then to the left of that, where it says OS and Ein, that's the on-off switch to turn the engine on. Where it says ZU and OS, to the top of that little silver box there, the priming box, is the handle to open and close the vents, which are the heat exchange. And there you have, as we talked about last time, the fire extinguisher. So if we turn it around, I'm not getting a good shot there, but there's the some more decals in there, just indicating the ammo bags as well. So very happy with how that internal hull turned out. And all I will do now is I've cut out a sheet of paper that it will sit in there, and then that'll sit on top, and then I'll spray the Panzer Grey on top. Here we have the internals of the turret. I have just got some paper on the outside ready for painting, but you should see again in here it's turned out quite well with the decals. And the chipping. So again, they're the correct colours used. I'll give you another view of that when the model's finished. And this is primer on the outside, ready for it to go. I'll probably end up placing some wire behind these, just a little bit, just to make it look like it's the smoke grenades have got a little, it's a little bit better done. So that's that there. Here I'm waiting for some stuff to come in from Japan on Griffin models. Now you can see there's an S mine there, there and there. There's three. There's actually, sorry, there and there. But there's two more. There's one that should be on the end and on the end of the actual hull. So just on the back here should be 5 S mines. The extra 2 didn't come with the kit. So what I'm going to do is take these off, replace these, and I've got PE versions coming in with the actual mines in it, so it's going to look quite good as well. So again, this is prepped, sort of ready to go. I'll probably do all of this and then add the mines later, because the mines are going to take about 2 weeks to arrive, unfortunately. So I'm going to continue on and do the paint job of the hull and of the turret, and then I'll just add the mines and repaint it later. Also on the Academy one, there's another little piece that is missing. So if you see the turret here, you'll see a little bit of spare PE that's been bent. At the top of the hatch, there's a little piece of steel there to stop the hatch from fully coming backwards and lying flat, so it comes back and it rests on it. This model doesn't come with it, but your Dragon ones do, like the new Michael Wittmann one does, for example. So what I did is I took a spare piece of PE plate and just moulded it to the same as the piece that's in the Dragon kit. Unfortunately I don't have any spares, and sort of whacked that on there and then re-cemented the hatch down to rest upon it. Not a big issue, but one that can be quite noticeable for people that know what they're looking for. So again, I'm not like a big counting rivets fan, but something like that can be quite noticeable. So I did that. As I sort of indicated last time, this has been prepped for further painting, but you can see some of the decals in here. It's not zooming in, hang on. Here we go. And you can't read it because it's in black, but you've got decals on there as well. which are for the S-mine banks, to release those. So that's pretty much the update of where we're at. I just wanted to quickly show you those things before I started to do the next layer of paint. And whilst the next layer will take a couple of days, it'll be pretty much immediately after this. Okay, I'll see you very shortly. Hey, welcome back to Panzer Grey. It's just an update before we get on to the whitewash. So here is the Tiger at the moment. I've been pretty slack. I haven't done the wheels yet. I'm not looking forward to doing around 46, 48 wheels with tyres. But here's where we're at the moment. The next phase for me is to do the whitewash of this and do the wheels. So if we take that off, that's the internals. I'm going to use the Maskol technique like I used on my Panther that you can see on the website. And just do a couple of small sort of painting tasks separately, like all the tools and stuff that will need to go on, and the wire as well, and just a couple of additions like preparing the exhaust pipes and the shrouds, and a couple of the firefall pipes, etc. So the next stage is just to mask off the area where 411 will go, apply the Maskol, do the whitewash on the vehicle, and at the same time do the tools and do the wheels separately, and then the whitewash on the wheels. So still a little bit of work to do. It's taking a bit longer than I thought, but then again I don't have a lot of time either to do it as well, so it's kind of dragging out a little bit. But look, it's been worth it so far. To do it properly and to do the research. The other problem that's slowing me down actually is getting different parts sent out from around the world. Where I live in Australia, we don't have the hobby shops that have the depth of products that you can buy, so a lot of it I have to get sent in from other states or from overseas. So as I sort of come across a problem that I think that I can do it better and I need an extra product, it has taken a bit of time. Alright, so I'll see you when you continue on in this video. Of course the next stage will be the whitewash. Alrighty. G'day, just give you a bit of an update before we whitewash it. What I'm using is the Maskol technique. So it's got its base coat of Panzer Grey, on the wheels and on the main vehicle itself. So what I've done is I've poured a little bit of this into a bowl, saucer, whatever you call it. Then I've taken a sponge, dabbed it in it, dried a little bit off of it on some tissue paper, and then I've basically just dabbed it on the vehicle and on the outer road wheels, which is the first and second outer rows. So a total of 10 wheels, including the idler and drive sprocket on each side, because the next layer in won't have whitewash. So from the outside of each side of the vehicle, the wheels you'll see will be whitewashed. So you can probably see there, just shining there, the film from the Maskol, and that was just dabbled on over it. It was a fair amount actually. You'll see the end result soon, but a fair amount to try and get a good balance of a practical whitewash that acts as a camouflage, which was its intention to do. So, on a purely white vehicle, you want it to be broken up a little bit with colour, in this case grey, to blend it into the background. Fairly similar to what the Navy do with their ships as well. We have the turret here, again the same thing. It was doubled on around each side, including the gun. The mask there is for the numbers, 411. I've got to put it on the back here as well, which I haven't done yet. I forgot about it, but I'll get back and do that. So that's where we're at with the Maskol there, and of course the hull as well, including the glacial front plates as well. So I'll show you those when we're finished, and I'll go ahead and paint that on. Alrighty, well I'll see you back here shortly. Hi, and welcome back to Panzer Garage. You'll probably notice that the title of this video and the title of part 1 and 2 I've changed from Tiger 411 to 431. You're probably wondering why. So I'm going to take you just quickly through before we go on to the final part of the finished vehicle and whitewashing. Why I decided to change the turret number from 411 to 431. I'd also like to thank Cohen for providing some extra resources and information to me, and just acting as a general sounding board. I had my suspicions for a little while, sort of, that he may not have been in 411, just through some photos that I saw. So I decided to go back and have another look at it. It's all really about allocation of vehicles rather than who sat in which turret, because at that particular time in 1942 the various commanders would have cycled through the various turrets during training, I suppose, just because of the sheer nature of how the vehicles are breaking down all the time, and the need to do training prior to Citadel, the Battle of Kursk. Very importantly though, you should note that there's no photos of Tiger 431 with Wittmann in it, or even any photos of Tiger 1331, which is Wittmann's Tiger at Kursk, the one following this direct period of time. Which means that the following options really are available to you, and you kind of need to decide which one you want to follow. But there's no right or wrong way. So the options available really are: did Wittmann receive an existing Tiger prior to May, which would be an early Tiger with early Feifels, or did he receive a new Tiger in May/June for his new platoon, which would mean that this Tiger and 1331 would be an early Tiger but with late Feifels. So it really comes down to which side you're going to go down. Now, most of the text that you'll read, some will suggest one and some will suggest the other. But here's what we do know. Wittmann commanded a Panzer III prior to his Tiger, but the exact dates are in question of when that transition actually occurred, prior to May or in May. At officer training, he did his training in Tigers, we know that. Schütz was likely allocated Tiger 411, as most of the photos that you see of Tiger 411 have Schütz in it. That's not to suggest that Wittmann wasn't in 411, but what I would suggest is that if he was, it was during his training dynamic where people were swapping in and out of Tigers, but he probably wasn't allocated 411. Prior to July 1, 1943, the 4th SS Panzer Regiment 1 was organised in three times platoons of 3 Tigers and 3 Panzer IIIs, with another platoon of 5 Panzer IIIs plus a headquarters. After July though, it went to 3 platoons of 4 Tigers, not 3, plus the headquarters. what we also know is that on the 21st of January 1943, Panzer Regiment 1 received, the 4th Company received 10 Tiger 1s and 15 Panzer 3s. What we do know also is that after transportation, they arrived at Kharkov between the 7th and 9th of February 1943 in 3 packets, and Wittmann was commander of the 3rd packet, and that 3rd packet contained 3 Tigers and 5 Panzer 3s. But they weren't at Kharkov. They got directed to Poltava, which is about 150 kilometres southwest of Kharkov. So he never saw, importantly, Wittmann missed all the fighting in Kharkov during February. So any fighting by the 4th Company 1st SS Panzer Regiment in Kharkov in February, Wittmann wasn't there. He was at Poltava, so that's important. That's likely, though, he was in a Panzer 3 at that time as turret call sign 4 Lima 1, platoon commander of that 5 Panzer 3 platoon that the 4th Company had at that stage at Poltava. In mid-March, though, Kharkov was recaptured as part of the 3rd Battle of Kharkov under Manstein, which was known as the Mud Period, and tremendous upheaval with vehicles being knocked out, people being injured, killed, etc. around that time. 5 new Tigers, we also know that 5 new Tigers arrived in May. So they could most likely have been the new mid-May version Tiger. But also remember too that these 5 Tigers arrived on the 13th of May. So whether they were the May version Tiger or still the earlier one, to be honest, I don't know. I'd have to do further research into that, but there's nothing I can clearly find on it at this stage. The question, I suppose, is did Wittmann receive any of these or not, or did he receive an older one? During April to July, essentially training and reorganisation and refit occurred for Operation Citadel. Now the tanks, the existing Panzer Grey tanks were painted in dark yellow and camo, and the new ones arrived as well, and they would likely have been in dark yellow. And they had a new numbering system because they changed from the 4th Company 1st SS Panzer Regiment to the 13th Company. So that's where you get turret numbers starting with 13, 1331 for example. During the training, as I suggested earlier, they were swapping Tigers all the time. Therefore, it's likely that any of these guys could have trained in any Tiger. Now, working on the assumption that the vehicles carried over, Wittmann was in 1331. Therefore, previously, you would think that if he was in a Tiger previous to that, he would have been in 431 to keep it as the same platoon prior to repainting and numbering. It's also been suggested in some texts that he was in 431 by June. It's just when was he officially allocated that turret number? There's some suggestion that Wittmann receives his Tiger as early as March, due to, as I suggested before, a number of people getting promoted, injured, vehicles breaking down, which suggests and supports an early FIFO Tiger rather than a late FIFO Tiger. And if you work on the assumption that that early FIFO Tiger 431 carried over and is the same Tiger as 1331, then 1331 would also have early FIFOs as well, unlike a lot of model kits that you see with late FIFOs. However, it really comes down to which path you're going to travel in your decision on this. Bottom line is that there's no 100% evidence either way. If you do a March-April assigned Tiger, then you should go for early FIFOs, and I'd suggest that therefore 1331, if you model that, also would have early FIFOs. If you go the May assigned turret, it would be an early Tiger but with late rifles, and therefore 1331 is most likely going to have late rifles. I decided to go with the March-April allocation, which would have seen him in Kharkov in March, not February. So he would have missed February, but he would have taken part in the Kharkov battles in March, in that Tiger 431, and that's how I've modelled it. Over the next coming months, I'm still gathering more information on this, so if there's changes or if there's evidence to suggest something else, then I'll actually release another video for you on where I've got to, just with some extra evidence on that. So look, I hope I hope that that sort of explains a little for you why I've changed to 431. I can definitely say though it's definitely not 411, just because the fact of so many photos that you see with shoots in it, and so much commentary on shoots being in 411 around that time, regardless of the training issue and the swapping in and out of turrets. So I hope that's been of help to you if you're looking at modelling Wittmann's first Tiger. There you go. Thanks for that. Hey guys, welcome back to Panzer Garage. And finally, after nearly 3 months, we have the final reveal of Tiger Tank 431, Wittmann's final Tiger. In my view, as you would have heard earlier in the video, the reasons why. Here it is here, finally complete. I decided not to put it on a diorama because the main reason is I want to show the internals of the vehicle, which we'll have a look at in a minute. But at the end of this video, I've got some photos. You'll see some photos, or like a photo montage of the vehicle, which should probably give you a better view of the actual vehicle itself. But here we have it here with whitewash and through the mud period. You can see that I ended up using Friulmodel tracks. Some tracks I had to add on the front. Now this kit doesn't come with the ability to put the tracks on the front, so I took a spare bracket from an earlier Tiger from one of the other Dragon kits for Leningrad. Not quite the actual right bracket, but close enough, and I mounted tracks to the front there that 431 would have actually had. You can see too some of the mud as well, but you'll get a better look at those when you actually have a look at the photos. And there it is, 431. I was pretty happy with the way it turned out. No sort of major problems, because it's not entirely glued together. With the top of the vehicle, there can be a little bit of a fit issue, but if that doesn't bother you, then I wouldn't worry too much about it. In terms of washing, etc., I'm pretty happy with the way it came out here, particularly around the rear end, and you'll see that again in some photos later on. But what I'll do is I'll show you inside the vehicle. Now, interestingly to note though, that all the decals on this vehicle are Archers decals that were sent over. So you'll see them through there, and they were quite easy to work with, performed quite well. Good sizing, some good study done behind it to see what you've got. But again, we'll just take this apart and have a look. If we lift the turret roof off here, again, some of the details in the painting here But again, you'll see that better with the photos. But if we have a bit of a zoom in, these now are the researched colours for the vehicle. Some changes that I made inside. I turned the Lotus seat around, so now it's facing backwards. It's difficult to pick up these things without trying to break something. And you'll see some of the decals inside, but I'll take some zoom photos of those with the camera, and you'll see them just after the video. So that's inside the turret. I'm pretty happy how the turret turned out. And again, you can lift the whole top off. If I just move the bottom of the vehicle over, you can see a better look of the turret. And you would have seen this previously, the jerry cans, fire extinguisher, etc. there. Now the actual hull there we have inside the vehicle again what I perceive to be the correct colours. What I ended up doing with below the sponsons there in RAL 7009, which is roughly equivalent to Revels 67, I put a mild blue wash over it, and just to tone down and deepen the green a little bit towards more of a slight bluish tinge. If I can zoom in there on the ammunition, you can Archers sell decals for the ammunition as well. So very happy how they turned out. They're just Tamiya brass painted and with Archers L56 decals placed on top. Now if I just turn this around slightly, and zoom in on the rear here, you'll see more decals that have been applied inside the tank. So very happy with the detail, very happy with how it all turned out. Once you put the vehicle together, add the metal gun, add the extra ammunition, add the tracks, it is actually quite weighty. That floor there, it's probably the camera and the light, but it's the same colour as below the sponsons, so that sort of green grey with a bit of blue on it. And as you sort of saw from previous videos, the above the sponsons, well, throughout the vehicle, there's some chipping and that done in there. I mean, these vehicles at the time, you've got to remember, paint technology wasn't that flash. Metal wasn't that flash either, compared to these days. And you know, things would chip quite easily, particularly when, you know, things are busy, as they inevitably get when you're in a combat zone. And if you remember, one of the previous videos talks about why the radiator covers a different colour. Very happy with how the exhaust section turned out. Always difficult to do when you're sort of mucking around with different pigment colours. And of course there you have the early Feifels there. Now if I pick it up and just show you the rear, that's pretty much how the rear turned out. Again, just with a bit of that mud on there. So basically there you have it. Academy's 135 scale early Tiger with interior, modelled as Michael Wittmann's first Tiger. Now these two extra Feifel hosing, they just sort of go on at the end. So if you take the top off, you have to take the rear apart. So the two hosing compartments are there. But there you essentially have it. Look, I hope you got something out of the journey over the 3 videos. What will follow this is some photos of the vehicle, and I hope you got something out of it, and particularly the information, the colour scheme, the internal colour of the vehicle, why I named it, why I chose to do 431, my opinion on 1331 hopefully is useful if you decide to go down that path. But you know, as I said, there's no real right and wrong answer. It's really what you think is the best way to represent it. You know, given that there's not a lot of evidence, not a lot of photos. But I've enjoyed the whitewash. This is my first whitewash of a large scale vehicle. The last one I did was about 30 years ago, of a 172 scale Sherman tank as a little kid with a dry brush and white enamel paint. In fact, you'll probably see it on one of my video montage videos. But that was done like 30 years ago. So this is new technology, new products. Maskol worked well. I've used Maskol on aircraft before, decided to use it for the technique on here, and it came up well. But I must say, you really need an airbrush to use that technique. You can't do it with a brush. Also, Maskol will peel off. Aftermarket parts are worth it if they add value to what you're doing. Having said that, on this vehicle, you'll notice that the S-mines are here and here. There should be an S-mine there and an S-mine there. My aftermarket metal one's broke, so I need to get some new ones in, or I'm going to try and hunt down some resin or plastic ones, and I'll probably use those. But given that this vehicle is going to be coming apart all the time to show people, I may not even choose to put them on. I may just put the brackets there as if they'd been removed, which they quite often were S-mines. and the S-Mine's a little bit different with wiring, and David Burden's got some good information on his website, tiger1.info, on S-Mines if you go down that path as well. So hope you enjoyed it, and if you liked it, leave a comment, and yeah, I'll see you next time for another review and another build. Okay, see you later.
Chocolate fudge and red balloons, Argyle socks and a blue suede shoes. A stroll in Central Park with you, bare feet on sands in Malibu. Drinks at 2 in the afternoon. I'm in just that kind of a mood. Holding hands, love's pantomime, shooting glances time to time. Champagne bubbles, Cupid's brew, to usher in the rising moon. Oh, my heart whistles a happy tune. I'm in just that kind of a mood. Dancing till the crack of dawn, making love on the front lawn. Venus beams a loving nod in fields of gold. Shall we both trod around the world, just me and you? I'm in just that kind of a mood. Holding hands, love's pantomime, shooting glances time to time. Champagne bubbles, Cupid's brew, to usher in the rising moon. Oh, my heart whistles a happy tune. I'm in just that kind of a mood. Holding hands, love's pantomime, shooting glances time to time. Champagne bubbles, Cupid's brew, to usher in the rising moon. Oh, my heart whistles a happy tune. I'm in just that kind of a mood.